So sorry about the, yeah, the look of this. It's not the most fashionable, but anyways, it's all about the sound quality tonight. So I'm going to jump right into this. I'm really excited to bring you guys this presentation today. It is called The 7 Steps to Launch Anything. And this is really a guide to the to-be mindset and really how to get the most bang for your buck. The reason I'm so passionate about this particular training tonight is that launches are exhausting. So I think that if you're going to really do it right, it's got to be extremely simplified. And as anyone that's worked with me knows, that is my jam. I like to take things that are complicated, that I don't understand, and filter them down so they're super simple to execute. And I think that that's one of the things, especially in your guys' neck of the woods and in your business, launching is happening all the time. You guys are always launching things. And like Bria said, it really is, it's your ability to set up your strategic plan and calendar to decide this is when I'm going to be launching this product. So once you get really good at this, I think the biggest difference that you'll start to notice is that there's a lot of people watching what you're doing all the time. The lurkers, right? The stalkers, they're watching what you're doing, but they don't engage with you. If you actually follow these 7 steps about launching, what's going to happen is you're going to take all those people that are watching what you're doing and you're going to bring them in and take them from a stalker to a talker. So that's really what is at stake. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about tonight. So I just want to tell you guys a little bit about me and exactly what I do. So as Bria mentioned, my name's Ashley Shaw, and what I really do is I am all about eliminating marketing overwhelm. So in my career so far, I've been actually done just multiple presentations. I used to work for Good Life Fitness in the training and development department, and all through my career, that's what I've done. So I've done over 500 presentations, live and online training sessions that I've created and delivered. Over 1 million students. So if I look at my whole reach of everyone that I've taught in my career, I've worked with a ton of students, and that's my jam. I just love helping people and simplifying things. And 14 years, so that's the age I actually started my first business. I was selling Hello Kitty, and that was the first time I'd put a stamp on it that I became an entrepreneur. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my sweet spot. So this is where my magic lies and where I think that like everyone has their own greatness, right? These are the 3 things that I think really bring that to life for everyone: what you're born to do, what you love to do, and then the skills and education to back it up. So what I was born to do is I was actually born, my parents owned a Gold's Gym. So I've been in the fitness industry really since the day that I was born. My mom was an aerobics instructor, dad was a bodybuilder. And so I continued on that path, and I've worked in the fitness industry the last 14 years, 10 of those years with Good Life Fitness, starting off as a personal trainer, working my way up to most recently president of a fitness company on Vancouver Island. So I've done a lot of roles in between, and I was definitely born to be in the fitness industry. I love it. I love helping people. And I think like the one thing that is so that I just couldn't imagine being in any other industry is that we actually get to help people on a daily basis and change lives. And there's not a lot of industries that you get to do that on a daily basis. So I love that. What I love to do, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. Like if there's just something, I think I grew up with 2 entrepreneurial parents. So I just loved watching them, you know, have the financial freedom, the freedom to travel, and the freedom to do what they wanted to do. I just fell in love with that lifestyle and that idea. So at the heart of it, not only have I been on the corporate side, I love being an entrepreneur. So those 2 things combined together, I think, provide me with a good skill set of knowing the entrepreneurial side of things, but also knowing how bigger organizations work and bringing those things home when it comes to a lot of the coaching I do and training. Skills and education, I would say, like I've always been, I've loved presenting, but really if everything's important, nothing's important. So I'm a simplifier. I hate when things are complicated. So my intention in everything that I put out there is that it's crystal clear and easy to execute. So in any of the stuff you see from me, that is my intention and goal to get it there. So what I really do is I help coaches eliminate the overwhelm in their marketing efforts so they can have the business of their dreams. I think a lot of the time as entrepreneurs, what tends to happen is there's this bit of analysis paralysis that happens. When things get complicated, it's hard to execute. And what my niche is really understanding and testing. Like I test things all the time and try to learn exactly what works and what doesn't. And then I help teach that to coaches to save them the time, the money, the heartache, all that sort of stuff that comes along with when you're testing something. At the end of the day, you just want to know what works. So that's exactly what I do and how I work with coaches. So I want you guys to sit back and really just get ready to, this is all about a done for you strategy. So we're going to be talking a lot today just about exactly what launches require to really be successful, and only the golden nuggets. Like there's a lot of stuff out there when you look up launches. So this will really be a simplified version of the golden nuggets that you need to implement to ensure that your to-be mindset launch or any other product from here on out is exceptionally successful for you, and you really start to see that in your numbers and how many people are getting involved when you're putting when you're posting and putting content out there. So the objectives today will be, we're going to start with why most launches actually fail to turn your stalkers into talkers. Next, we're going to dive into the 5 key questions you need to answer before you launch anything. It's really setting that foundation and framework of any launch. Then we're going to get into the 7 steps to launching genius. This will help provide you, when I implemented these same 7 steps, I saw my best return on investment of getting people to sign up. So I know, like anything I put out there, I've tested myself. So I'm very excited to show you guys all about that. And then lastly, I'm going to leave you with resources for to be ready, to be ready for the upcoming launch and the one that you guys are currently working with right now. So why most launches fail to turn your stalkers into talkers? Well, here's the thing about launches that is so challenging, is that launches require a lot of work. They can be extremely exhausting, and while this is going on, you still have a thriving group of clientele that you don't want to stay out of touch with. So it's almost like your workload doubles up when you're launching something. So that's why I think it's so important to be extremely clear on what are the things that really matter and how do you get those things in place so that as you're launching, none of the other balls that you are currently juggling are dropped, because there's a ton of potential when you do a launch right, and there's so much room to grow your client base. And one of the things that, man, I always hear this from coaches, they tell me all the time, all I need is new leads. Like if you could just put people in front of me, I can talk to them. I just don't have people in front of me. So launches are that really, really unique opportunity that, man, you've got something to say and you want to be shouting it from the rooftops. You've got so many people when you put something new in front of them that they're going to want to bite on and chew on, and it's actually really exciting, right? It's something shiny and new. So it's like as Seth Godin calls it, the purple cow, right? Something very different when you have a new program out there. So it's really important that by implementing these steps, you'll be able to replicate them on any launch from here. It'll really help calm down that overwhelm. So these are the things that typically happen. I don't have a strategy on where I'm going when I'm launching. So most of what I do is pretty random. So you'll often hear that, not a lot of strategy to it, just randomly posting things day over day in hopes to get clients, talking to them from that. The next might be, I'm overwhelmed with everything else and I really don't know where to start. To most people, launches can just be, well, I'm just going to post more. And that's really not what a launch is about. A launch is really about having a conversation. You're taking your pre-contemplative clients, the people that are kind of thinking about getting started, you're moving them to action. That's what a launch is. Next, you may hear, I don't have time to balance this launch in addition to taking care of my current clients. So we've talked about that kind of doubling up on the amount of workload that you've got to get through. And next, I don't know what to say or how to say it to get people to take action. So really what we're talking about here, if anyone has heard of actually copywriting, copywriting is the art of using words to transition people from saying, like putting something out there and getting them to actually take action with it. So in a launch, you've really got to be strategic about the way that you're saying something, your calls to action, because the whole point of a launch is to take those people that are thinking about it to they're doing it. Next is, I won't hold myself accountable to inviting without someone checking in on me. So that could be, that accountability piece is really, really crucial during a launch. You have to be consistent with how you're posting and the cadence in which you're posting. I know you guys, a lot of you guys were in the recruiting boot camp and they talked a lot about Gary Vee and the jab, 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 hook. Well, you can't just go in a launch and be jab, 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 hook, jab, jab, hook. You've got to have a consistent flow of how you're pushing people along that line to get them into action and into that buying cycle. So these are the 6 key questions you need to answer before you launch anything. And before you try to scramble and write everything down, I will have a handout available. It will be, I'll send you guys the link and you'll be able to download this. So don't worry about trying to write every single thing down. The handout will set you free. So just take in the questions and then I'll make sure you guys get a copy of that after. So these are absolutely, I would say, the foundational key before you start anything with your launch. So you have to be crystal clear on these 6 questions. So I wanted to put an image in front of you guys. So if anyone's done my course, the 21-Day You Challenge, we get really, really specific about who your ideal customer is. So this is, I think, a really important exercise in any sort of launch. You want to think about, to be mindset, who is this program perfect for? What's her name? What is her status? Is she married? How many kids does she have? What are the things that keep her up at night? What would she journal about? What happens sort of day to day? You really want to get this clear picture and be able to say, her name is Melanie. She's 32 years old. She has 2 kids. She hasn't gone back to work. She stays at home, takes care of her kids, doesn't feel like she has time to go to the gym. She prefers to work out at home, but every time she gets results, she always feels like she's kind of sliding back because she does have this pattern of emotional eating. So you want to get crystal clear on exactly who you're talking to and exactly who your ideal client is through this launch. So the first question you're going to answer is, who is this for? Answer as specifically as possible, just like some of the questions we were talking about in that previous example there. Why does she actually need it right now? Why couldn't she just wait? Really thinking about, what is it that's going to trigger her to take action now? Next is to think about, what is her before experience? So this is really putting yourself in her shoes right now. What is it like in a day in the life of Melanie, let's call her. When she wakes up, is she low on energy? Is she thinking about what to make the kids for lunch? And also at the same time, not really feeding herself nutritious food, just kind of grabbing a bagel, grabbing whatever's left over that her kids aren't eating. What does her before experience really look like? And you want to get detailed around this question because you want to be able to like slip in her shoes and be able to think like her and talk like her. So what is her before experience? Next, you're going to think about, what are her limiting beliefs? So this one is such a golden nugget that when you start to get really good at this, man, you can speak to people in a way that you've never spoken to them before. So when I say limiting beliefs, we all have beliefs that we think are holding us back from achieving our goals. So let's take an easy example of someone wanting to run a coaching business. They may be telling themselves, oh, I don't have enough money. Oh, I don't have enough time. It's going to take away from my family and I'm not going to be able to balance everything. there are these constant stories we tell ourselves about why something cannot be achieved. That is what a limiting belief is. So in a program like To Be Mindset, maybe someone is thinking about the fact that, you know, I know what to do, I just feel like I need support and someone to check in on me. So you really want to nail what is her limiting belief. And honestly, the best way to figure it out is to ask, because a lot of the times in these sort of circumstances, we sort of think we know. Here's the thing, a launch is a lot of work. So you don't want to be guessing on these questions. You definitely want to be able to really pinpoint who you're talking about and exactly have some dialogue with those people. You can do a poll in your group, like, what do you feel is holding you back from achieving your fitness goals or health goals? Then you're going to start to see what people really think is the key to their success. The next question you want to think about is, what will be her after experience? So after she does the program and she's mastered emotional eating and she feels really good about her headspace and where she's at, what's that going to feel like? How is her day-to-day life going to change? And what impact will that have on her in the long run? So you really want to be able to answer those key questions about that experience after. And then what is the hypothesis? So what this is really talking about is, we know that she has this limiting belief within her. I think I actually gave you an example here. So this is an example of how you would actually create this hypothesis. So when you address your goals, I was talking about your health goals, from a mindset perspective versus the typical old traditional perspective of eat less and work out more, you address the root cause of years of habits that stood in your way, and you can finally eliminate the relationship problems you've had with food. So it's you're providing them with it's almost like it's this sort of twist to what they've always thought was the reason they haven't been successful. It's like you're telling them that when you do it like this, you'll finally be able to overcome that limiting belief that's always stood in your way. So those questions are exactly what you want to do to frame your launch. You have to have a clear picture of where you're going. The best way to start a launch is with the end in mind. You need to know this hypothesis, because every step, every post you're putting out there is leading that person with these 6 questions we've just answered. So I'm going to explain exactly how that content sort of drip, what those themes are that you're going to be putting out there. So I loved this quote. I just thought it was incredible. And let me just get it out here. Actually, hold on. It was a hard-hitting one, so I thought I would share it with you guys. So, unless your marketing is built on a big idea, and to me, a big idea is nailing that limiting belief your customer has, it will pass like a ship in the night. And obviously, as we know about ships passing in the night, no one pays attention and no one even realizes that you exist. So this is really why that limiting belief and building clarity around those 6 questions is so important in any launch that you do from here on out. So once you've established the answer to those 6 key questions, you're ready to really plan the strategy behind the rest of your launch from here on out. So this is all about your program being able to take off. So these are the 7 steps to launching genius. So launching isn't a process of convincing or converting. It's making your prospects aware of their own problems or desires and the solution that you've created for them. So what I love about this quote, and when I read it, what stood out to me so much is that our prospects, they already have problems that exist and desires they want to achieve. All a launch really is it's a conversation about those problems and desires and the solution that you've created for them. You are walking them through those steps of understanding the problem and getting their mindset right so that you can provide a solution for them that is going to help solve that problem. So the first step is your limiting belief is the entire theme of your launch. So once you have a little bit of dialogue, you may already know from talking to enough of your clients exactly what that one limiting belief is that you want to focus on. You just want to make sure it's the right one, because the entire theme of your launch will be, the content will consistently be provided based upon this limiting belief. And I'll give you guys some examples here as we work through each of the steps, but I'll give you guys the example with some of the students I work with coaching. Some of their limiting beliefs would be that people, they're not getting the engagement they need, and when they're posting things on social media, it's stopped working, right? And that they need to post more in order to get that engagement up. So you want to pick that limiting belief, and then I'm going to show you each week how the content drips from there. And just so that we're really clear here, a launch is not done in a week. A launch, typically there's quite, you can have less space between it, but typically a traditional launch is about 4 weeks long. And that's why I have a done for you 30-day launch plan. That's why it's a 30-day period that you would be working one-on-one in that day-by-day guideline of exactly what to post. But typically it's about four weeks. And what that does is it allows you enough time to make sure that exactly what you're putting out there is getting read. Now, that being said, you're going to have people that convert sooner than that. It's just that the people that really need to be brought through each step, you'll have people converting really probably throughout, but 4 weeks is typically the launch period that you may have, but it could be shortened if need be. So after you've established that limiting belief in which your whole launch is going to be built upon, you're going to challenge your customer in social media posts, videos, whatever content you're putting out there. So all of these steps are really done obviously through social media. It's some sort of content that you are providing, and this would really be happening in your first week of what you're posting out there. Now, it doesn't have to be 7 back-to-back days of this, but you have to have enough challenge sort of theme in your posts to really get this point across. So marketing is really like a conversation. And in this case, that really means that there are people talking about the pain point that you will be alleviating or the desire you're helping to fulfill. So that's already happening out there. Your customers are talking about the fact that they really just need to get a handle of this. It could be emotional eating once and for all. And somewhere in that conversation that your customers are having, there is a common misconception out there. So in the challenge portion of your launch, what you're going to do is you're going to bust that misconception. And so you want to think about what is an assumption or a misconception right now that my customers may have. Maybe it is losing weight is painful, or maybe it's too expensive to be able to have someone guide me through this process and help me lose weight. So there's 1,000,001 obviously different misconceptions out there, but you want to pick which one of those that you're going to be able to speak to. And you may even have 2 or 3 posts that week that focus on different misconceptions, like the ones that you hear the most. It usually in the fitness industry, it's time, it's money, it's commitment, could be a spouse. You want to pick a couple of those, and then your content, you would put together 2 or 3 pieces that week that speak directly to challenging your customer on that misconception. So marketing really is about creating awareness about what you're doing, and that really starts with getting someone's attention. So challenge posts make people wake up, take notice, and often it leads to increased feedback in the form of comments, emails, and shares. That's what this first real week of the launch will do. It'll create that engagement. So the next step in the process is to actually expand your prospective customers' horizons. So what this means is you need to really raise the stakes in this next week of launch. So this is called expand content. So you see your customers have a vision for themselves and what they think is possible. So maybe it's that they want to get down to the weight they were when they were in college, or maybe they want to fit into a pair of skinny jeans. There's all these different visions of maybe where they think they want to go. And what you want to do in this stage is you really want to show your people how much better it could really get. So this is a good, every launch really needs to have this, this show and tell sort of mentality. So even if you're, you can provide and show your clients exactly what's possible. So during this expand phase, you may show them a before and after of someone out there that lost a ton of weight on this program with no exercise. So you're expanding their vision for what they think is possible. Their limiting belief is, you know, is obviously, you got to connect it with where you want to expand. So if their limiting belief, let's say, is that I just don't have time, then you want to make sure this expand example that you're putting out there, what you're showing them is all about people that did this in like no time at all. Like it took them very little time to do this program. So that's how you're connecting that limiting belief in the beginning with helping to expand their horizons for what's possible, and really putting out there some examples that they could see themselves like, oh, like maybe that's possible for me. So moving on to the next stage, this is where you're going to show your expertise. So this is happening sort of in that perhaps it's week 3 for you of your launch. And what this really is being able to, you've like started off your launch with busting that misconception in that first week. Then you've expanded their horizons. And then next, you're really going to show them why you're an expert, and you're going to really take a deep dive into helping them understand what's holding them back. So this could be, I've watched a lot of the 2B mindset videos, a lot about, you know, talking about hydration. This is establishing yourself as an expert. You're really putting yourself out there as, hey, did you know that when you drink more water, it actually helps with weight loss? Here's why. And so you're starting to do posts around that expertise. And again, you got to link it back to that limiting belief. So if their limiting belief was time, how can you show you're an expert sort of in that realm of maybe you're still talking about water, but tell them how it's a time saver in a way, because people don't even know about this, and it'll help you actually lose more weight quickly. So without all the hassle and that extra time investment. So you're still bringing it on home with that limiting belief, but being able to really show your expertise through this stage of your launch. So next, you really want them, you want to leave them wanting more. And this is something that is, it can be so, I don't actually often see it happen. So this is really key. Like this is one of the things, leave them wanting more. When it comes to putting content out there, this can be in, you know, you're thinking in terms of, it could be a webinar, it could be a Facebook Live. This is really where things start to get good in the launch. So the climax of the launch is most often an event where you can get this surge of energy really going into this active selling period. So you want to put on something that leaves all these clients and customers wanting more. So maybe you're going to do a Facebook Live or this you know, event, a webinar, and you're going to teach them the 5 things you need to know about being able to let's say lose weight without working out, something like that. So again, it's got to relate back to that limiting belief in the beginning. If it's all about time, that's what leaving them wanting more is going to be all about. It's going to be about, you know, 5 quick ways to save 80% of your wasted time to lose weight quickly, something like that. So this is really about being specific. You're going to be able to deliver them results, and they're going to just be wowed by everything that you've given them, and they can't wait to take that next step with you. So that's the power. There's a big difference between social media posts and actually being able to get live with someone and be able to walk them through exactly where your value lies, and they're going to feel like, whoa, like she's got the solution for me. I definitely want to be working with her. So don't skip this step. the webinar, Facebook Live, like inviting people to a big event and sort of like a big reveal. So next, you are going to bring it on home. So what this piece is all about is planning your follow-up. So a lot of people at this point in a launch, they're exhausted, right? Like it's a lot of steps obviously before that you're taking, and this is not the time to lose momentum because you have a lot of people on the edge of their seat wanting to know, like, how do I move forward? So the biggest mistake is to put all that energy into the pre-sale period and to save nothing for when you actually are in those final stages, when the sale is really on the line. And you can really execute this flawlessly in a couple of different ways. Definitely putting out frequently asked questions. That can be a really great way to get people, you know, just you're answering like, you know, oh, does this program really require no workouts? Or how much water do I really have to drink? And being able to list out those frequently asked questions for people, that's a really great way. It's sort of like the what to do if you're not ready to buy post or email as well that you can put out there. So you want to plan your follow-ups, and this is really about that sort of what information is lingering that these people haven't made that choice yet, what's going to cause them to actually pull the trigger, and you'll be able to bring it on home. And then lastly, what I always recommend that you do is you have what's called a last chance offer. So you're going to have a final end date. You've always got to have a date. That's the one thing, like sales, you have to create urgency. If you don't create urgency, people will not take action. So make sure you communicate what is that end date that this, you're taking your group and then you guys are getting started on your path. And with the last chance offer, you really are bringing it home and saying, you know, if your gut instinct is going off, this is your time. Get involved. This is really going to get you that result that you're looking for. So really making sure you're telling them it's the last chance, following up with every single person that is one of your leads sort of in your funnel. If you've been messaging them, if they've liked something of yours, you got to follow up because this is the last chance for them to get involved. So truly the best place to start planning your launch is with the end in mind. And that really is those 6 questions that we talked about, really making sure that you have a very descriptive answer for each of those before you even start planning out your launch, because that's going to be able to help you bring it on home. So I want you guys to think for a second and just take a little moment of reflection here. So I want you to think about what would change if you had a done-for-you launch strategy. What if you had someone else bake it into your social media posts and told you exactly what to post about over the next 30 days, so that the only thing that you had to worry about is actually creating the content and not worrying about the strategy? So